Welcome to today's Virtual Lead Generation Academy. While we are not able to have you personally here with us, we are excited to have you joining us virtually. So thank you for both your time and partnership. Before we begin, I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of these lands on which you meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters, and community. I pay my respects to them and their cultures, and to elders past, present, and emerging. I'm Tabitha Bertrand, and I head up our mid-market lead generation business across Google Australia and New Zealand. My team manages relationships with hundreds of advertisers across 15 verticals, spanning both B2B and B2C. Now, before we kick off with the first session, I wanted to run you through what to expect today. I have the pleasure of kicking us off by looking at why digital maturity is such an essential framework for advertisers like yourselves. We'll take a closer look at some of the macro trends we've observed in the market, how this is shaping consumer behaviour, and the impact we've observed on advertisers. We'll then hear from Ash D'Souza, a market lead at Google specialising in lead generation. Ash will dive deeper into the why around the digital maturity framework and talk through the details of why it is important for all advertisers that are committed to generating leads for their business, especially in uncertain times like now. Following Ash, you'll hear from Samantha Bishop, another market lead spanning across lead generation advertisers. Sam is going to walk you through the how, meaning the necessary steps you need to take to move your business along your unique digital maturity journey. And finally, Elizabeth Fox, Director of Customer Solutions at Google, who's going to host a panel discussion with Robert Chamberlain, Managing Director at Huno, and Bernice Alviar, Head of Performance Marketing at Canva. They'll be talking about their respective businesses, the challenges they've had to overcome advancing their digital maturity, and the role it has played in helping them get to where they are now. It's a really insightful discussion. Now, while these sessions have been pre-recorded, they are being streamed to you live, and all the speakers are ready and waiting to answer any questions you submit via the chat functionality. So please don't be shy and send them through. Now, it wouldn't be a Google event without the chance to win some Google swag. So if you can, stick around to the very end of today's Academy and be sure to fill in the feedback form for your chance to win one of 25 amazing Google swag bag packages. I won't be sharing all the details of what's in them, but I promise you it's worth your time. Now, today's event is all about digital maturity, but I want to take a step back and dive a bit deeper into some of the trends we've observed over the past couple of months that have shifted this conversation front and centre. As the coronavirus situation continues to evolve, we are all constantly adapting to the change and disruption to our daily routines and to our businesses. From travel restrictions to school cancellations and material economic uncertainty, this is all very real. Today, consumer behaviours are rapidly changing as people continue to shelter at home. We can all agree that we are experiencing a once-in-a-lifetime digitisation event, and it made me think of this quote. There are decades when nothing happens, and there are weeks when decades happen. The last 6 months have literally changed how we live, interact, and purchase products and services. Delivering a world-class digital experience has never been more important than now. 4.5 billion people around the world use the internet every day. We see almost 1 million people coming online for the first time every 24 hours. In March, as COVID forced all of us around the world into lockdown, we spent 2 trillion minutes online. That's an increase of 19% year on year. Our behaviours have changed dramatically in such a short period of time, like shopping for groceries using an app, using a comparison website to find a better mortgage rate, or taking a short course online. All of these new norms are becoming ingrained in our daily lives. Additionally, we've seen a huge paradigm shift when it comes to who is online and how people are making purchasing decisions. A key insight to emerge of this period is a generation of new online shoppers. According to BCG, baby boomers, who are people aged 52 to 66 years, and silvers, anyone aged above 66, came online for the first time. Baby boomers and silvers now make up 34% of digital purchases compared to 25% in 2016. What I thought was interesting and highlights the shift in the consumer's journey is that 33% of Aussies downloaded at least one new app during COVID to help them make a purchase. To bring this all to life in our daily lives, I want to tell a quick story as to how my search behaviour has changed and continues to change so frequently. At the start of the year, I booked flights to California to see my family. Come early March, these plans were obviously cancelled and I was now rich in flight gift vouchers. I then went into execution mode, searching, reading, and looking up the perfect family vacation with a 2-year-old. Which we know doesn't exist. I was naive, but we did land on going to the Northern Territory and the family calendar was marked for July. Come June, more border closures were announced and the Bertrands were not going anywhere. So at that point, I decided to make lemonade out of lemons and my search shifted again. My searches started to look more like, is it a good idea to go on a road trip with a toddler? We did end up booking a motorhome and travelling throughout all of New South Wales for 11 days. So you may be thinking, how did it go? Well, it was hands down one of the best vacations we've ever taken. We had so much fun actually that we barely took any pictures and it was more like a digital detox. This was the only family pic we got with the 3 of us and clearly we have no selfie game. The reason why I'm sharing this with you today is because it's a great example of how the way we search for information and make decisions is and will continue to fundamentally shift. The only constant is change. And as marketers, our success is dependent on how quickly we can adapt. We are witnessing a paradigm shift in consumer behaviour as we speak. The question for marketers then becomes, how do we tackle the challenge of foreseeing customer wants, needs, expectations, and purchasing decisions? This paradigm shift that I'm referring to, this digitisation, has made the consumer journey even more complex. And to add to that, marketing leaders are tasked with generating revenue and driving growth, even as they continue to work hard to maximise ROI and become even more cost-effective. I know from many conversations with our customers that more than half of our lead generation advertisers have been, to some degree, negatively impacted by COVID. It's been a really tough few months for many of us. I've been in awe of how all of you have been able to innovate and pivot your business and marketing goals. It is safe to say we've all just completed an MBA in resilience. During this time, your Google team has been analysing and looking at data across all industries to understand how some customers were able to weather the storm more effectively than others. And ultimately, what we've found is that while there are numerous factors that can determine how a business fares during economic uncertainty, there was one interesting observation made. These advertisers use the power of their first-party data and automation to respond in real time to changing market conditions. These findings also align with a study run by the BCG on what they refer to as digital maturity. With that knowledge, we want to share with you today 4 key stages we've identified that outline what the digital maturity blueprint looks like. Essentially, what we are solving for is how can Australian lead gen advertisers thrive in ambiguity, improve their ability to see around corners, and accelerate growth in this environment. We're going to go through these strategies in more detail in today's Academy. What we want to highlight to all of you today is the huge opportunity for you and your business to grow sustainably by improving your digital maturity. We estimate that around 95% of Australian lead generation advertisers are sitting in nascent and emerging. We understand that moving along the graph towards a connected or smart stage previously may not have been a priority, but events such as COVID and the accelerated digital environment highlight that it is now becoming a non-negotiable. It has been awesome to see how advertisers have been able to navigate volatile environments because their businesses were digitally mature like Huno, our travel customer who you're going to hear from later today. As we all know, the travel sector has had a really tough and trying 6 months, and Huno was no exception. The business nearly disappeared overnight. Without stealing the thunder of the panel discussion later, I can share this much. Huno had the right data at the right time to make critical business decisions and is now having record-breaking months. So with that, today you have the opportunity to learn from Google experts and your peers in the industry. Today we're going to cover why digital maturity is a key factor in unlocking more value for your business by combining your data with advanced technology, how integrating your data efficiently can help you improve lead quality, and how businesses are improving their digital maturity today and the impact it has had on them. As I said earlier, we're in a very unique stage of digitisation, and all of you in the virtual room here today are at the forefront of it. We want to leave you feeling excited and empowered by the opportunity at hand. So with that, thanks for tuning in and enjoy the Academy.
Hi everyone, my name's Ash and I'm a market lead here at Google for our lead generation advertisers here in Australia and New Zealand. In this session, I'm going to talk through the importance of digital maturity for lead generation advertisers and how it can unlock more value for your business, especially in today's ever-changing consumer landscape. Today, every lead counts more than ever, and as we've just heard from Tabitha, many companies have had to quickly adapt to COVID-19, shortening their operating hours, and in some cases, making the tough decision to reduce their staff. Because of this, finding customers at the right moment when they are ready to buy a product or service is critical. Lead generation often involves complex customer journeys with a multitude of touchpoints. Here's one great example for you. We've identified that the consumer journey for buying car insurance can take over 100 days and include 220 digital touchpoints. And what's really important in these user journeys are the signals that infer the customer's intent. Your next customer may be after a particular type of insurance based on their own personal needs. It could even be someone like Tabitha looking for an insurance package that covers her family's RV holiday. Given how long and complicated these user journeys are, our most successful advertisers really focus on these signals to create the best lead generation strategies for their respective businesses. Another major trend that we've noticed is how people are connecting with businesses. As you might have guessed, people are spending more time online and they are searching a lot more. And they are searching differently, meaning that signals of intent are also changing significantly as well, thereby creating new opportunities for businesses to connect with their customers. We've also seen businesses try a whole new variety of ways to reach their customers, using online web forms, email, chat, customer support over the phone in place of in-person visits that have slowed down a great deal more recently. So with all that being said, what is the main challenge that lead generation businesses face in this new environment? Generating high-quality leads remains the number one challenge for lead generation advertisers. In fact, 7 out of 10 marketers will tell you that improving lead quality is their primary objective. And high lead quality goes hand in hand with high purchase intent. Being able to get in front of someone with a higher likelihood of purchase intent means you actually spend less time converting that lead into a customer. And if you can do this at scale, you can really maximize the value that you can bring to your business. So with that in mind, what is the biggest opportunity for lead generation advertisers right now? According to a 2020 study conducted by the Boston Consulting Group, businesses that integrate multiple sources of customer data significantly outperform other companies in terms of driving incremental revenue and cost efficiency. So let's take a moment now to come back to the stages of digital maturity that Tabitha shared earlier, and that we commonly see lead generation advertisers fall into, regardless of the vertical or market that you play in. And as I talk through each stage, you can take this as an opportunity to first identify which stage best describes your business, and second, to use this model to decide on the next meaningful actions that you can take to drive those gains in efficiency and revenue as highlighted by the previous study. You will also have time to revisit this framework in more detail by referring to the workbook that we'll be sharing after today's event. Alright, so let's start towards the very left of the screen. Businesses that are just beginning their digital maturity journey are what we call nascent advertisers. As a nascent advertiser, you will mainly be focused on driving as much traffic as possible to your website and as cost efficiently as possible. If this sounds like your business, you have a huge opportunity in front of you, and we'll be right here to help you get there. Now, moving one step forward, businesses that use digital advertising as a primary source for acquiring online leads are what we call emerging advertisers. So for these advertisers, it's all about converting website traffic into as many leads as possible and at a viable cost per lead. So let's take a quick moment now to pause, as one of the biggest takeaways from our own anecdotal research is that 95% of lead generation advertisers here in Australia actually fall within these first two stages, which means that a high majority of businesses are not readily connecting online leads with their own customer data. And thus, all your leads are treated equally, regardless of whether they are converted into a customer or not, which is an incredible insight. All right, so let's jump back in. As we progress further up and to the right, this is where the magic really starts to happen. Businesses that are deemed connected advertisers are currently integrating their own first-party data, such as qualified leads, with their online marketing campaigns, enabling them to better understand how effective these channels are at driving key business results. If you're an education provider, this could mean bringing in enrollment data into your Google Ads account, or if you're a bank, bringing in the number of approved credit card applications. Marrying up this type of first-party data with your digital marketing campaigns allows you to uncover new insights, to find out which campaigns are the most effective and which strategies drive the best results. All right, now it's time for the home stretch. Over to the optimal stage of digital maturity, the smart stage, which is where we all want to be. Smart advertisers are those that not only bring in their own first-party data into their Google account, such as qualified leads or revenue, they also combine this data with Google's smart bidding technology. By leveraging automation, these advertisers are able to scale how they optimize their campaigns to really maximize value and the overall return that they can deliver from advertising online. If you are yet to fully leverage this digital maturity framework, the opportunity to increase return on investment is significant. And to add to that, let's talk through a couple of examples of businesses that are getting this right. So we work with a company called Zen Business. Their customers are entrepreneurs looking to really grow their own businesses. With the onset of COVID-19, market demand started to shift, and Zen Business set out to boost customer acquisition. In order to do this, they combined their own first-party data with smart bidding and focused on driving the highest potential leads. As a result, they've now grown their customer base by over 400% year over year, whilst decreasing their acquisition costs by 25%. Now, it's results and stories like this that I would personally love to see for all of our customers. Let's take a look at another great example. This is for SocietyOne, one of our partners here in Australia. SocietyOne are Australia's first and leading marketplace lender. As a result of COVID-19, the business needed to scale back due to the increase in loan default risk. They needed to be cautious about acquiring new customers whilst maintaining profitability. SocietyOne analysed their in-house data in order to determine who would have a higher chance of approval. They then utilised Google's auction time bidding to optimise their budget to a higher chance of approval percentage. This allowed them to set the right bid to the right user at the right time, compared with treating all applications equally. As a result, they were able to reduce their cost per application by 17.4% year over year. Now, it's important to note here that transitioning your business along the path to digital maturity is not going to happen overnight, and it's also not going to be driven by a single person within the company. As business leaders, you'll need to rally your sales teams, CRM managers, and web developers to map out the lead to sell journey together. And you can reach out to your respective Google team, people like me, to really assist you in using this digital maturity framework to ensure you are driving the maximum return for your Google Ads campaigns. So to wrap up this session, here are some key takeaways for all lead generation businesses along the path to achieving digital maturity. Number 1, partner with us, your Google team, to stay on the pulse of changing consumer behaviour. 2, scaling growth means leaning into automation. This can really help your business grow based on real-time, high-quality signals of intent. And finally, accelerating online lead generation strategies is a really big task, and it's all about testing and learning what works. Having worked with so many clients here in Australia over the last 6 months in particular, I've personally been so impressed by the resilience of all of our advertisers. Despite some really big changes in the market, they've taken this as an opportunity to build high-quality leads, grow their businesses, and ultimately help customers across Australia and New Zealand. So that's it from me. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of today's event.
Thanks so much, Ash. Listening to the examples you've just shared, it is clear that progressing along the digital maturity journey can really drive significant impact and unlock transformative growth for your business. I know this might be the first time for many of us exploring the digital maturity framework. I hope you feel much more confident about evaluating where your business might sit on the graph and the importance of tackling this journey right now. I'm sure now you're thinking, okay, this is great, let's do this, but how exactly do I get started? Well, I'm happy to share that Samantha will dive deeper into the how in just a second. But before we get started, don't forget to submit your questions via the chat functionality below. We've got a team of experts waiting to answer them for you. Over to you, Sam.
Hello. My name is Sam Bishop, and I'm a market lead for lead generation businesses across Australia and New Zealand. So far this morning, we have heard a lot about the what and why digital maturity is important for your business. I am here to further discuss how exactly we can put some best practices into play to help accelerate your business objectives. At a high level, there are two important goals for lead generation businesses to keep front of mind in order to improve your digital maturity and reach that connected plus stage. Number one, improving your lead quality by anticipating customer needs. And number two, driving qualified leads by optimizing your Google campaigns towards your key business objectives that will ultimately help you drive sustainable growth for your business. Now, before we get started and go further into the detail of how we can work to optimize lead quality for your business, I wanted to pause and also take a moment to align on the current landscape that most advertisers are facing, which also presents the great opportunity ahead of us, which I'll be speaking about in this section. This diagram by now will look familiar. As Tabitha mentioned earlier, we estimate that 95% of lead gen businesses sit within the nascent and emerging buckets. What this means is that while many businesses here today have built great foundations, there are some critical elements that we are going to speak through to help accelerate your business through to the connected plus phase to unlock more growth, more revenue, and more efficiency for your business. As mentioned earlier, 70% of lead generation marketers cite that improving the quality of leads is their most important objective, which means better leads for your sales teams to work through, and ultimately move the needle for your business. With this being said, we want to partner with you today to help you improve lead quality without sacrificing lead volume. Now, what makes generating high-quality leads a challenge? Let's take some time to walk through this flowchart. As you can see on the left side of the chart, it all starts with limited data integration. What does this mean? If you are only tracking leads in Google Ads, you can see how many leads each campaign brings to your business and how much each of these leads cost. But you're missing out on some really important information when only looking at leads. Is the lead likely to become a valued customer? And is the lead going to turn into a high-spending client or not? Limited data integration equates to unknown lead quality, which in turn makes scaling lead acquisition a lot harder. Now let's take a look at the right side of the flowchart. First off, the leads you're bringing to your business will drive your sales teams to focus their time in nurturing them, but with no clear view of lead quality. And are all of those leads worth their time? Wouldn't it be better for the whole business if lead quality was higher on average? Secondly, and more importantly, you lack visibility on the impact you are bringing to your business. You're managing budgets, bids, keywords, and ads, all based on how many leads your Google campaigns bring to the business and how expensive those leads were. All of that time devoted without understanding how much additional revenue these campaigns brought to your company, how expensive it was to acquire this new customer, and whether or not it was profitable. Those are the metrics you should try to influence when managing and optimizing your Google campaigns. So, how can we partner together to help you solve this challenge? How can Google help you drive high-quality leads for your business? Circling back to the same flowchart we discussed earlier, you'll notice some key changes. We transitioned from the current scenario to the ideal scenario, where instead of limited data integration, we now have strong sales signals for advertising. So let's take a step back and review the left side of the flowchart again to better understand what an ideal scenario actually entails. First, strong signals for advertising equals known lead quality, which brings us to the first module of today's session, anticipating customer needs. This will give you visibility into lead quality and position your business for sustainable growth. And it involves 3 important steps. 1, importing first-party customer data into your Google Ads account. 2, using automation to help you identify lead quality. And 3, making your data more actionable. Now moving over to the right side of the flowchart, how can we help you scale the business once you have a clear view of lead quality? And how can we drive growth focused on high-quality leads? That is where today's second module comes in, driving qualified leads in order to achieve key business objectives. And there are 3 steps here as well. 1, driving leads directly from Google Search. 2, driving calls from Google Search. And 3, driving action via YouTube on top of your Google Search campaigns. And with that, let's take a look at this framework in action to help you apply this strategy to your business. Let's get started with anticipating customer needs. The first step here is importing data that reflects business outcomes. So what do we mean by this? Let's take a hypothetical example of an education business called Google University. Their first interaction starts when a prospective student is looking for a course via search, clicks on their ad, and requests more information through their website form. Google University saw a lot of student interest from those submissions, 2,000 unique requests, but very little information about the lead quality. A few months later, only 1% of the people who requested more information became an enrolled student. With only 20 enrollments or conversions spread across several campaigns, it can be hard to make good decisions because there's too little data for you to understand what makes a request more likely to become an enrollment. Remember that our objective is to track what matters and to align what you measure with the KPIs that your business values. Leading marketers don't just measure initial leads and sales. In fact, some businesses with a long sales cycle can't even track the sale, but are still able to make great decisions. So these middle funnel touchpoints, when your sales team is on the phone with that client for the second time, for example, tell you a lot about the chances these prospects have of becoming a customer, as they say a lot about the quality of the lead. In our Google University example, if you include data from applications started and completed into your measurement, the middle funnel steps, you'll have lead quality data and data consistency, for example, volume, to drive more enrollments. In summary, we recommend importing all relevant actions into Google Ads. We can help you determine which of these steps should be considered for optimization later on. But the focus now is to create a strong base of lead quality data that we can leverage as we're working to drive growth. So how do we import all of this data? If there are important steps of the journey that happen in offline channels such as in-person or phone sales, you can measure those steps by implementing Google Ads offline conversion tracking. Google Ads offline conversion tracking, or OCT, is integrated with reporting and bidding and will allow you to optimize for more quality leads. It works like this. A user clicks on your ad to arrive at your site. We provide you with a Google Click ID, also called GCLID, which is an alphanumeric string that identifies a click on an ad. This prospective user fills out your form or calls your business. The GCLID, along with the lead information, is then passed to and stored in your CRM system. Then the sale is made offline. You can then extract the relevant non-PII conversion data in GCLID from your CRM system, format it correctly, and upload it into Google Ads as a new conversion. You then have a complete picture of how your online ads generate offline value and get to choose among all of the conversion actions which one you want to optimize and turn automation towards. A full guide is available in the workbook we're sharing after today's session, so you can follow the step-by-step guide to successfully import offline data. Let's also talk about phone calls. Needless to say, they're an important step of the customer journey. So much so that 61% of mobile users state that calls are the single most important step of the purchase process. Not only that, but phone calls are often the critical first step of the user journey. In fact, 72% of internet users choose phone calls as their first step when doing business with a company. Calls should be measured and integrated with your broader digital and mobile strategies. And it's important to measure and attribute conversions to your calls, whether they're from ads, your landing page, or other channels. To understand the impact of calls, you should measure how they are converting and the value they are driving for your business. You can track calls happening directly from ads or calls that happen from your website. There are two ways of tracking call conversions. The first one is via call duration. So when calls last longer than the time set by you, they are counted as conversions on Google Ads. Conversion tracking for phone calls works by utilizing the enhanced reporting functionality provided by Google forwarding numbers. When you enable call reporting for your call-only ads and/or call extensions, Google will assign dynamic forwarding numbers. Because we use a unique forwarding number to each ad group, Google can track the duration of phone calls placed using the forwarding number. When calls last for the minimum duration set by the advertiser, a conversion is then registered in Google Ads. The second method for tracking calls as conversions is using imported call conversions, which is perfect for advertisers using third-party call tracking platforms. Similarly to offline conversion tracking, you can upload a file that indicates which phone calls produced conversions. We'll match the data to calls tracked with Google forwarding numbers and register the conversions to the appropriate keyword or ad group. So if phone calls are important to your business, check out our full guide to implement call tracking in the workbook after this session. Now let's shift gears here for a bit and imagine we're already tracking all relevant steps of the customer journey in Google Ads. What do we do with this data? Let's focus on driving growth and high-quality leads using smart bidding. Smart bidding takes millions of signals into account in every auction and in real time. It is continuously learning and improving conversion data among the criteria highlighted here. It evaluates and influences millions of signals in every single auction, and it can even get better with an additional layer of data to work for your business outcomes. With your data and input, smart bidding is a powerful tool to help you achieve your business goals. In the same hypothetical scenario of Google University, an education advertiser, credit score criteria can affect financing options, which determines someone's ability to pay for a course. Or previous academic qualifications can give you guidance on how valuable that prospect is. Combining your data and our smart bidding solution is one of the most powerful ways to drive business results. Now you are ready to activate smart bidding. These 4 bidding strategies are the most common among lead gen customers as they optimize towards your leads. Choose the bid strategy that aligns with your marketing objective. Let's walk through them. The first 2, over to the left, function similarly. Maximize conversions is for those looking to drive as many conversions as possible whilst adhering to a set budget. Target CPA drives as many conversions as possible whilst maintaining a set target cost per acquisition. The last 2 bid strategies are value-based. Maximize conversion value drives as much conversion value within a given set budget. And target ROAS drives the highest conversion value while maintaining a target return on ad spend. Please note that target ROAS does require you to already have at least 15 conversions over the last 45 days. With all the relevant steps of the customer journey tracked in Google Ads and the bidding strategy that best fits your marketing objectives, use the workbook to follow all best practices to successfully use smart bidding through your strategies. So now that you're importing data that reflect your business outcomes, custom columns are an effective way to immediately take action on your campaigns, ads, and keywords. Custom columns allow you to create your new Google Ads metrics based on existing conversions. Those metrics become a column that can be added to your views at the campaign, ad group, keyword, and search term levels. Here's a common use case with a hypothetical example. A 5-to-1 return on ad spend in a campaign limited by budget is a clear sign to increase your budgets, and in some cases, even bid more aggressively to increase total profit. Seems like we can increase budgets for the non-brand campaign number 2. Adding revenue, ROAS, and profit columns will help you focus investment in campaigns that are driving business outcomes and reduce investment on low-impact campaigns to gain efficiency. Now, before we move on to Module 2 of this session, let's run through a brief recap of anticipating customer needs. Start off by importing all actions that contribute to your business outcomes. Activate smart bidding for business outcomes. And use custom columns to make informed decisions about your campaigns and keywords. Now, on to driving qualified leads. Now that you're tracking what matters for your business using automation and custom columns to focus on business outcomes, let's discuss strategies to drive qualified leads. A great way of driving qualified leads and preventing form drop-off is via lead form extensions, one of our bespoke product releases created specifically for lead generation businesses. You can generate a new lead in just 2 clicks and 3 seconds, directly from Google Search. Users are given a seamless path to engage with your business. They can start by searching for a product or service on Google, click on the search ad that comes up, and then sign up directly within the ad itself. These forms are also convenient for your customers. They're convenient to complete with the form accessible directly from search instead of navigating the mobile website. They're seamless to submit with pre-populated user information. And finally, they are fast to load and easy to type compared to mobile pages with lead forms. Another great way of driving leads directly from search are call ads. Call ads appear on devices that can make phone calls and are designed to encourage people to call your business directly. It's a great strategy for businesses who are primarily looking to drive calls and/or do not have a mobile-optimized website. Call ads are also compatible with conversion tracking, so you can have these calls directly mapped back into Google Ads. Aligning back to the digital maturity journey, one of the key differentiators between the connected and smart stages is that customers within the smart stage have maximized the best opportunities from search and are able and ready to start looking at a more full funnel strategy to drive quality leads to the business via different channels, YouTube being one of them. After searching for a product on Google, more than half of people go to YouTube to learn more. This presents a great opportunity for a business to intervene when users are making a purchase decision with the right ad at the right time. It's also important to note here that more than 40% of people buy what they find on YouTube. YouTube is where your potential customer comes to watch, to discover, to consider, and yes, to buy. We all know here that the intent behind each search on Google is what makes driving leads so effective, by showing your ads to people that are looking exactly for the services you offer. A great strategy to complement this is to engage with that same audience that is looking for your services on Google Search while they are watching videos on YouTube. You can target the audience based on their Google search behavior by using a solution we call custom intent audiences, and use a video in YouTube to direct that audience to your website or directly convert via an embedded form on YouTube. Let's quickly take a look at a client case driving success using TrueView for Action campaigns on YouTube. Arise Solar is a world-class provider of solar power systems across Australia. Driving new customer leads in a highly competitive industry was a big challenge, as Arise Solar needed a solution to find high-intent customers and reach them efficiently. Arise Solar captured the strong search intent via custom intent audiences and were able to reach that high intent audience with a very competitive cost per acquisition compared to search. When running TrueView for Action campaigns with custom intent audience targeting, Arise Solar experienced 41% improved cost per lead with TrueView for Action over the duration of this experiment, 12% improved cost per lead on search, and 31% assisted conversions on search as people watched the video and went back to Google search to look for more information about their business. YouTube is now an integral part of their customer acquisition strategy. If you're looking for tips on how your video ad should look or best practices about setting up a TrueView for Action campaign, check out our workbook after this session. Let's run through a quick recap again so we have the key takeaways front of mind. In order to scale your business sustainably with qualified leads, it's important that you drive leads and calls directly from search via lead form extensions and call ads. And also, engage with the high-intent audiences on YouTube and reach the customers you didn't capture via Google search. I hope you feel that the overview from today has provided you with a deeper understanding of the steps to take in order to drive sustainable and efficient growth for your business to move along the digital maturity roadmap. Make sure to keep the shared workbook handy when implementing these solutions to ensure that best practices are followed to drive the best results. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Sam. What an awesome session. It's great to better understand not only why digital maturity matters, but how you can take steps to move along the digital maturity journey. I'm sure you have taken away an idea or two to discuss at your next team meeting. And please do remember that this is not just on you, but you have your Google team by your side to help you in the rethinking process. So do reach out. Next, I'm super excited to share the panel discussion that Elizabeth Fox, Director of Customer Solutions, recently hosted with Robert Chamberlain, Managing Director at Huno, and Bernice Alviar, Head of Performance Marketing at Canva. I've loved listening to their respective journeys. But before we start this session, I wanted to make sure to remind you to stick around to the very end and share your feedback with us. You'll have the chance to win one of 25 Google Swag Bag packages. Over to you, Elizabeth, Bernice, and Robert.
Thanks, Tabitha. My name is Elizabeth Fox, and I'm the Director of Google Customer Solutions in Australia and New Zealand, which really just means that my team and I have the great honor of working hand in hand with clients and agencies of all shapes and sizes to help them make the most of their marketing. If 2020 has taught us anything, it's that moving your business along the digital maturity curve is foundational to your success. Today, I am so excited to welcome two titans of digital maturity, Bernice Alviar from Canva and Robert Chamberlain from Huno, to talk to us about their business's digital maturity journey, their wins, their opportunities, and give us all some advice as we head into 2021. Robert, Bernice, thanks so much for joining us today. It's really good to have you both with us. Now, before we get started, we talk almost every day, but the people on the call may not know everything about you and your business. So if you could give us just one or two sentences on who you are, what your business does, and what you do there. Robert, I'll come to you first.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm the founder and managing director of Huno Group. Huno Group operates a network of travel sites globally, focused primarily on the hotels and the accommodation sector. We compare travel deals from a number of different providers and provide the consumer with the best solutions possible.
You sure do. Bernice, how about you?
Thanks, Elizabeth. I lead the performance marketing and affiliates team at Canva, and Canva is an online graphic design tool that makes the design process super easy and efficient by providing hundreds and thousands of graphic design templates. And we have 40 million users and are headquartered in Sydney.
I am a client of both of your businesses, and I can attest to everything that you're saying being true. Robert, I love a little cheeky icebreaker before we get into it, and you're in the travel industry, so I'm expecting a good answer from you. No pressure. But when all of this happened, what was the last place you visited internationally, and where's the place you're looking forward to going to most?
Well, the last place I visited before all this hit was in February. I visited New Zealand, the North Island, for just a quick short break. But what I really like to go to, where I'd really like to visit after all this, would be Russia, see St. Petersburg, Moscow, and also see the glaciers in Iceland. So a world trip potentially is on the cards.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I haven't been to either location either. You'll have to share your pictures back. Bernice, how about you?
So I was actually in the Philippines last November. I have a lot of family there, and I was actually planning my destination wedding there. So I was looking forward to having my beach ceremony. That plan has changed. I'm hoping that next year, or at least in the next 2 years, that I can go back there again and actually make that island beach wedding happen.
Gonna need to see pictures of that as well. This can be very exciting. My last destination was Japan. And the one I'm looking the most forward to is going to Las Vegas, just because couldn't we all use a vacation?
We sure
Absolutely.
can.
Yeah. So Robert, today we've heard a lot about digital maturity. Would you be able to share with the audience where you feel Huno falls on the digital maturity framework?
Well, I consider Huno on the smart stage of the digital framework. Effectively, I consider the business a technology business first and foremost, a technology business that operates within the travel sector. But digital maturity encompasses all sectors of the business, everything from top-level strategy all the way down to the nuts and bolts, marketing, sales, etc. And for us, it's about leaning into this technology to be able to understand what we can be able to do with it. So for example, we operate a global cloud infrastructure. This cloud infrastructure helps us scale and serve tens of millions of visitors every month.
One of the things I've been really impressed with besides your growth is your resilience. Can you talk a little bit to us about how you've really leaned into that and what's been like kind of your secret sauce?
Well, absolutely. I think what happened in the travel industry was unique this year. I've been in this industry for well over 15 years and I've never seen anything like it. And really for us, it was about leaning into technology, understanding technology and understanding how technology can help us connect with our consumers as best as we can. And so from my perspective, really what we could see at that stage was what can we do to be able to best cater to the customer and their changing needs. Big international trips were out, group trips gone, but people still want to travel. It's in their DNA to travel. And for us, it was about understanding what were the next big things? What were the next sort of trips people wanted to take? Local experiences was the next area. So for us, it was about understanding the data, understanding what people were searching for, what people were looking to book, and to be able to pivot the business in a way that allowed us to effectively cater for that demand.
I love that. You never lose by keeping the customer at the center of your strategy. Now, Bernice, at Canva, you've been on this digital maturity curve, but you've also had just really intense ambitions to grow. How do you balance it all, and what has that journey been like for you?
Yeah, it's a tough challenge, but as you say, super exciting. Canva's 7 years old, and we've skyrocketed in growth over the last few years. We have now over 40 million monthly active users. I'd say at the beginning of our growth, it was all about product optimization and then just focusing on mass adoption through channels like SEO. And the last 2 years has been really about focusing on optimizing our campaigns towards high value users and trying to maintain both user and revenue growth and profitability. But when COVID hit, that was another sort of catalyst for us to focus on a different area of our business. So we were also concerned about user churn and maintaining retention. So we really focused on adding more value to our products so that we would not lose those customers. We also focused on adding new product features that were more relevant to the COVID period. So for example, a lot of small businesses have been transitioning their services and needing more COVID-related templates like infographics. You've got businesses now transitioning more of their meetings to Zoom. So Zoom backgrounds became a popular doc type. And schools as well have become more online, and so we've focused on building our library of school-related templates. So all these things we've had to really focus on in the last few months just because of this changing environment.
See, I love that. And you're saying it like it was like we just did it. We just pivoted. We just changed. We just created new products. And it's been amazing to watch you be that agile. If you had to call out one thing though, what would be the one thing that you think has been the most challenging in accelerating your digital maturity?
Yeah, there are actually probably two things that were pretty difficult. So the first thing was setting up our measurement foundations for success. So as we transition from focusing on user growth to lifetime value-driven growth, our measurement foundations previously were not geared to that. So we couldn't even do click tracking or pixel-based tracking, couldn't attribute revenue to our users. So we had to really scale back our campaigns for 3 months and pause them to really work on our measurement foundations, work with the data engineers to just get that done. The second thing that was difficult was moving into this new phase of lifetime value-driven growth was a big cultural shift for the company. It was tough to get stakeholders on board in the beginning, and we really needed to prove out that strategy by first doing a lot of small experiments and tests with our campaign to prove it out in a small scale, and then work with finance and analytics to forecast what we could do if we could scale that out. And it was by doing those things we were able to really move through the digital maturity curve, as you say, and transition to that next phase of growth.
Yeah, that would be music to Ash's ears. I know he talked with us all earlier about making sure that we have all of these things aligned before we can really accelerate into growth and digital maturity. Robert, would you say it's been the same experience for Huno?
Well, for Huno, the management buy-in wasn't as much of an issue as it would have been for Canva. But certainly when it comes to testing and being able to understand what tools and technology to apply to your business, it still gets back to the basics of understanding how we can adopt the right tools at the right time to be able to better serve our customers and better understand what trends and what different sort of events are happening in the digital environment to be able to cater to that audience as best we can.
So I'd love to hear more from both of you. I'll come to you, Bernice, though. In what role digital maturity has played in helping your business succeed, particularly in the last few months?
Yeah, it's played a huge role. So luckily at Canva, we have been very used to change, constant change over the last few years as we've been skyrocketing in our growth. But the one thing that we have kept the same is our focus on the customer and keeping the customer at the center of every campaign, every strategy and product change. So when COVID happened, we were already set up to be able to look at the data, look at the new customer trends that were emerging, and make a move quickly on our product to make sure it could adapt and provide the relevant templates and provide the relevant features that our customers needed now at this time.
I love that. You can never go wrong by keeping the customer at the center of the strategy. And so, Robert, how has the role of digital maturity impacted Huno's journey?
Well, for us, digital maturity has played a crucial role in the success of Huno. It has allowed us to streamline our business operations, to automate tasks, and to be able to scale in ways that we weren't able to achieve before. By being able to adopt a digitally mature model, effectively our growth doubled. And for that, it's definitely something which we believe was pivotal to the success of our business.
Big time. Building on that momentum and those learnings, what's been your biggest learning in Huno's digital maturity journey?
For us, it's about not letting any issues go unresolved. If there are issues, address them quickly and be prepared to pivot. But it's also about leaning into technology. Technology is your friend. Technology is something that will help your business and help you achieve your goals if used in the right, effective way. So for us, being able to understand what was happening in the market, where the customer was going, and how best to be able to serve their customer was very important. And in this environment for travel, people were changing their plans constantly. Every week, there was a different story going out in the press with regards to this. And so to be able to filter this information in a way that was meaningful, that helped drive strategy and decision, was incredibly important. And for us, digital maturity and having a proper digitally mature framework helped us achieve those goals. And so for us, it's not about using technology for technology's sake, but by adopting the right technology in order to effectively grow and scale your business.
So I'm hearing some common themes from both of you. One is the ability to pivot often and early. 2 is keeping the customer centric. 3 is you both talked a little bit about streamlining, whether it's been through measurement or tools, not being afraid to step back and reevaluate the strategy. Bernice, for 2021, is it just going to be more of the same for Canva, or is there something else you're looking forward to?
Oh, it's definitely not going to be the same. We're very much looking forward to, rebounding out of this pandemic and the consumer confidence coming back up again. This season has been about buckling down, and I think next year will be about scaling back up again. We're very excited about being able to start exploring upper funnel channels or brand channels, things like YouTube, being able to scale that up again. And like I've said before around measurement foundations, we've now been able to lay the foundations for more sophisticated kind of automation within our campaigns and measurement, being able to do sexy things like machine learning and leverage data science to make sure our campaigns are accurately optimizing for value. These are some of the things that my team are very excited on, because we know that in order to achieve what we want to achieve next year, we can't just rely on manual campaign management. We're definitely going to have to rely on more sophisticated automation and help from you guys at Google as well.
I'd love to hear from both of you before we finish up. Robert, I'll come to you first. What's your advice? Like, what's the one piece you want to make sure everybody takes away for lead generation businesses going into the end of the year and then 2021?
Well, from my perspective, it's about planning for the future. It's about understanding what is happening and being able to plan for the future and to be able to effectively pivot when things change. For Huno Group, in a strange way, this has been both the worst year and the best year the business has ever had. The business is twice the size it was before COVID started, even though we're still in the middle of a global travel lockdown. But that's because we're able to lean into technology, we're able to pivot when situations changed, and we're able to execute on that strategy quickly. And for any businesses out there, don't let any issues go unresolved. Plan for the future and just keep with your strategy.
Bernice, one last piece of advice for our lead gen clients listening in today?
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with Robert on the need to just pivot and focus on what the customer needs at the moment. Being a digital subscription service, we've been fortunate to be able to grow because of the vast amounts of users online during the last few months and with the lockdowns happening. But despite that, we've also had to really change our strategy. So we did have a 2020 roadmap that we worked with you on at the beginning of the year. And we had to make that bold choice to really pivot in March and reset our strategy. So yeah, my advice would be to be bold and to take a chance on changing your business around what your customers need right now, and also thinking about what the new future looks like as we come out of this pandemic, because the world has now changed and we can't afford to just keep going as if it hasn't.
Wonderful advice. Well, both of you have found it really insightful, inspirational. Your thought leadership is really appreciated. Thanks for sharing with us. Thanks for sharing with everyone watching. I think if we can take away anything from today, it's that you have to be willing to pivot. You need to keep the customer centric and lean into technology to accelerate your digital maturity curve. Thanks so much for joining us. Back to you, Tabitha.
Thanks, Elizabeth, Robert, and Bernice. I truly enjoyed that discussion. I'm sure there are others today that have learned from your experiences. So that's almost a wrap for today. We do hope you've enjoyed the content and took away new ideas or strategies that you can apply to your business today and as we go into 2021. If there is anything you leave with today, it is to remember that improving your digital maturity drives tangible results. When businesses combine the insights of their data with the computing power of automation, magic is created. For businesses in Australia, the opportunity to increase ROI from this approach is significant. Let's recap on what we presented today. We are all in this together, in the midst of a once-in-a-lifetime digitisation event. The actions we take today will impact our business performance in the future. Studies and anecdotes from industries have proven that advancing your digital marketing maturity is vital for sustainable business growth, especially during uncertain times. Finally, partner with us to understand where you're at in your digital maturity journey, what steps you need to take to advance, and what incremental value this could deliver to your business this year and next. Every great success story starts with action. My question to all of you is, what are the 1 or 2 actions you're going to take post this session to drive either efficiency or growth, or maybe both? I'd encourage you to reflect on where you're currently at and what remains to be covered on your digital maturity journey. And staying true to my word, it wouldn't be a Google Academy without a bit of Google swag. In a moment, you will see a form pop up on the screen. This is a win-win. Besides your chance to win some fun freebies, we get the chance to learn from your feedback and make future events even better. Thank you for joining our 2nd annual Lead Generation Academy for Google Australia. See you next time.